What?
What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong?
America has great schools. We spend per capita thousands of dollars on each student, but money hasn't solved the problem. And when I say problem, I'm talking decades of deficiencies in some areas like reading and writing. America has great schools. We spend per capita thousands of dollars on each student, but money hasn't solved the problem. And when I say problem, I'm talking decades of deficiencies in some areas like reading and writing. A national assessment of more than 600,000 fourth and eighth graders showed that there's been no significant improvement in reading since the year 2000, none in math since 2003, and none in science since 2006. It's almost an average of 20 years where U.S. education has been floundering or merely treading water. And while other countries are outpacing the U.S. in education, you might expect China to be, but there are places like Estonia and Finland and Canada are outperforming U.S. education achievement as well. The question is why? Public schools have failed us. There's just too much emphasis on test preparation, and instruction in the U.S. has been decimated by accountability, standards, and testing. Rote memorization, reciting the names of the 45 presidents in order or the state capitals. This is the crux of why we're such bad writers. Teaching students to memorize and not learn. Students aren't rewarded for imagination and understanding. Beyond the "what I did last summer" essay, the school year is a series of memorization exercises. Complicating matters is the fact that many students' reading skills are also poor. For example, they cannot recognize the main point of an argument in their reading, and they certainly cannot respond adequately to that point in their writing. During high school, most students don't write with the frequency you might expect, nor are they doing the types of writing that will be required of them in their college years. Georgetown University did a study that showed first-year undergraduates reported that the most frequently assigned high school writing tasks required them to offer and support opinions, with secondary emphasis on summarizing and synthesizing information. Students were rarely required to criticize an argument, define a problem, or propose a solution, shape their writing to meet their readers' needs, or revise based on feedback. Furthermore, according to a survey conducted by the Chronicle of Higher Education, 61% of high school teachers said their students have never written a paper that was more than 5 pages long. As a result, students have not had enough practice developing a set of sophisticated writing skills. When students lack skills in these areas, their writing may be unsatisfactory in multiple ways, from poor grammar and syntax to unclear organization to weak reasoning and arguments. Unfortunately, I've experienced this firsthand. To commemorate the anniversary of my mother's 60th high school graduation, where she was valedictorian, my family awarded a scholarship to a high school senior who planned to attend college. And that scholarship was based on an essay. We got a lot of entries. The winning entry was so poorly written, I literally wanted to take out a red pen and go through it. And that was the winning entry. High schoolers are very poor writers. And don't think that this is a new phenomenon. This has been going on for decades. The book Why Johnny Can't Read, which criticized the American way of teaching, was published in 1955, 65 years ago. And in 1990, Why Johnny Can't Write was published. criticizing the methods for teaching writing and calling into question their effectiveness 32 years ago. Colleges are filled with poor writers. A report from the Partnership for 21st Century Skills noted that, according to employers, over 26% of college students had deficient writing skills. What's more, employers said more than 1/4 of college graduates were not only poor writers, but they also lacked proper communication skills across the board. College students admit their poor writing proficiency too. The book, Academically Adrift, followed more than 2,300 students through college, found that only 50% of seniors felt their writing skills had improved over the course of their 4-year education. In a modern workplace that requires employees to daily send out emails, write reports, and present at meetings, how can businesses possibly carry on with so many poor writers? A number of years later, I was an adjunct professor of business at a college in New York City, and I had a bright young kid in my class. I was teaching sales promotion. He could not write to save his life. He was such a great kid with a great personality. And one day I took him aside after I had given him a bad grade on a paper, and I said, "You are a senior. You cannot leave this college with this level of writing skills." And he basically smiled and said, "There's software for that." But as we all know, software cannot always save you. Good writing demonstrates a capacity to think critically, to communicate clearly, and solve complex problems through an understanding of the written word. Such a bright kid with so much promise. I wonder how he fared. Why America Can't Write starts here, is perpetuated through high school, and continues on into America's great colleges. But its true effect is seen here. Millions of people active in the workforce are inferior writers. 2 out of every 5, in fact. Poor writing affects them financially with lower earning power, socially with low esteem and respect by their colleagues and bosses, and perhaps most importantly, emotionally, as they struggle daily to hide, compensate, and try to overcome their lack of business writing proficiency. Brought to you by Writing for Business Lesson Series, combining business writing proficiency and modern business know-how to develop the consummate business professional. To learn more, register for the 175,000 Reasons to Master Business Writing Workshop. The link to the workshop's registration is included in the description below.